The buyers had to leave their closing without their keys and go back home. I mean, it was a rough day for these people who sold their home and were buying a new one. Oh my goodness, what happened? Okay, so being homeless when you are selling your home to buy another is a common fear, and it's such a real thing. It happens when it's a seller's market, and it definitely happens when it's a buyer's market. So how can you buy and sell a home and not be homeless? Well, let me tell you. So number one, please have a really good, top-notch, know their stuff lender, because that will kill it. I mean, you may not only lose your dream home, but you may lose your buyer for the home you're selling, your earnest money deposit, and so on. I mean, don't be like my clients that use their lender who held their mortgage. Well, they didn't know these people, you know? I mean, their mortgages are sold every flipping day. So their new lender was not the same one that they bought the home with. All they knew was that their customer service was decent, you know, servicing their loan. But when it came down to buying a home, it was a true flipping nightmare. Let me tell you what happened. So they had their little lender. Man, I hope they're not watching. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Brunson. I'm so sorry, but I gotta tell it. I love you guys, but I have to tell their story. Their lender was crap. I mean, it started off all good and sweet. You know, whenever my buyers have their own lenders, I always call or email to introduce myself. This is usually, you know, how I check their temperature. If they will respond within a reasonable time, this makes me feel more confident that we will have excellent communication, because communication with the agent and the lender is so important during a real estate transaction. So important. Now, if they take forever and a day to get back, I'm on alert, because this might be a telltale sign that they may be hell to work with, and I'm going to have to stay on top of them like white on rice from the time we go under contract until the closing date. I hate missing deadlines. It can be really bad for my client, and I don't like it. But anywho, so it started off all good. Kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy. We're one big happy family. Then things started to bust out at the seams. We realized this poor lender did not know what the hell he was doing. One client was working full time and one had to retire. Well, apparently the lender didn't ask for the right information up front. This lender had everybody very hot. We just about missed every deadline that we had, and we were begging and pleading for extensions left, right, and center. It was crazy. You see, we have their home for sale under contract. We're under contract for the new home, and come to find out, the home that they were buying, the new home, well, that seller was under contract for his home as well. I mean, everybody was pissed. My client, she was about in tears. I never spoke so much to a lender in my life. It got down to our first closing day. Yeah, we had two. And I know you're thinking, yeah, there should be two closings because you're selling and buying. No, I mean, we had two closing days for that one home. The lender promised the morning of closing we would have everything cleared and closing would happen. The package would get there just in time. To the attorney, you guys go into the closing. I got this. He said, go to the closing. It was far. It was against our better judgment, but we took that drive because it was far. So we got to the closing. Oh my goodness, the buyers had to leave the closing without the keys and go back home. I mean, it was a rough day for these people who sold their home and were buying a new one. Let's just say we closed maybe a week later. I held the deal together by the skin of my teeth. I mean, a lot of soothing, consoling, smiling, phone calls, emails, negotiating, late night wine and liquor. My poor buyer was about in tears so many times and despised something at the end of it. So have a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious lender and realtor in your transaction. You see, my clients were selling a home and buying a home. You gotta have the right people. Number two, don't start house shopping for your new home until you're pre-approved. It's like a cardinal sin. Honestly, unless you are paying cash for your new home, you can't even make a solid offer without one. So don't set yourself up for failure. I mean, don't go making appointments to see homes you think you can afford and then be majorly disappointed that you can't afford what you had your eyes set on, your heart set on. It's heartbreaking. Furthermore, you have to really think about it. Do you want buyers traipsing through your home that you're trying to sell that aren't even qualified to buy it? I mean, at that point, aren't they really just being nosy? How often do you let strangers in your home to be nosy? Well, the next seller won't want to do so either. Number three, never list your home before you have your eyes or contract on a new one. Well, this one, it actually depends on the market conditions that you're currently in. If it's more of a buyer's market, this typically means homes are staying on the market a little longer. Then it may be advisable to get your home listed so we can pre-market your home, then full out blast your home, and exercise all marketing strategies required for the buyer's market. Now, during a really hot seller's market, you may be freaking out and like, goodness, I'm gonna be homeless. I have nowhere to go. What do? I don't want to be homeless. You know, I don't want you to be homeless either. None of my buyers and sellers were ever homeless no matter what market that we bought and sold in. It's really all about timing. You have to find that sweet spot to list your home and start looking. So one of my clients who bought in Hampton, we started looking before she listed her home. She found a new construction home that she liked, and then we listed her home. It worked out perfectly. And we had what was called a double closing. We closed both homes on the same day. When you go that route, pro tip, just make sure to start packing your house the day you list it. Now, another seller we had, they listed their home first. We even had an offer accepted before she found her next home. But we negotiated our butts off to where we got the buyers to wait for us to find a home. Then they allowed her time to move after the closing. Yep, never homeless. Number 4, timelines and deadlines are everything. Everything. As I said earlier, I hate missing deadlines. You should too, as a buyer that has to sell. You can potentially lose a whole lot if you do. You have to be meticulous with staying on top of your timelines and deadlines. And sometimes as an agent, we have to remind every single person involved in the deal when one is approaching. Just make sure to do your part, like turning your documents that you're going to request ASAP. If you have repairs that you agree to do in your home, it's recommended do them early, but not too early. I recommend for my sellers to do them once their buyer has conditional loan approval. Just a little tip there. Number 5, and this has to be like the most important of them all. Don't be a butthole. Seriously. Now, this is not for my sake as an agent. This is honestly and truly to help you. I mean, don't be that person that wants the world when you're working with your agents to negotiate what you want for, the buyer to give up, concede, or let go. And then you're the buyer on the new home and you don't want to budge on anything. And then as for the sun, moon, and stars, I won't call it karma, but remember, you will be on the giving and receiving end on this type of deal. Be reasonable because you definitely want the other party to be reasonable with you. Don't let greed steal your dream home away. Ready to make a move? Message us today. As always, happy shopping.